The first month of the season is over and the international break is with us. Welcome to September's edition of Turf Moor. Here's what's coming up on the show. Grime artist Bacchus and Radio 1 DJ Jordan North get lyrical with a surprise visit from a special guest. Following the first month with VAR, we speak to former referee Neil Swarbrick on the technology's inaugural season. And McIlroy recalls fond memories of her late father Jimmy. And former claret and shaker Terry Pashley touches on the recent events at Gig Lane. Bacchus could now be a household name in Burnley thanks to the grime artist tribute to claret striker Ashley Barnes. We headed to Barnfield and arranged a meet-up with Radio 1's Jordan North and a surprise visitor.
Hello, I'm Jordan North from BBC Radio 1. We're here at Barnfield Training Centre today with a special guest on Turf Moor. It's only Bacchus.
How are we doing? You alright?
I'm very well, mate. Really nice to meet you.
Good to meet you as well.
Exceedingly rare. Go tip for tap, take heed and beware. The receipt in my hair does not concern me. Foot long side of Burnley will always be there.
So, tell us about this whirlwind month you've had. It's been amazing. You've created a grime track called Ashley Barnes.
Yeah.
How did the idea come about?
Well, it's I've been writing music for quite a number of years now, and then just started to get really into it over the last couple of years, and then. Within grime music, there's always been a tradition of, referencing football, and then there's tracks named after specific players. So Thiago Silva is kind of the benchmark of it, really.
Yeah.
So, and then it was just after I think it was just after the Chelsea game, actually, where we drew 2-2, where kind of just all the Chelsea fans were getting really, really antagonised, posting on about Ashley Barnes and stuff like that. Obviously, David Luiz came out with his anti-football. I was just like, do you know what? If there's Thiago Silva and Mbappe and all that, then yeah, we've got to have one about Ashley Barnes.
Yes.
Stick that in there.
Again, the referee's happy enough. Kovacic having a quick word. Croatian and West Country, I don't think there'll be a translation.
Sheridan, Merriam, buried a lot. When the squad plan to go out for a round, then I'm counting down like a referee's watch. So okay, fella, you can see me in an old grey sweater in a cold face where they're trying to locate Stella. Am I ever gonna stop? No, nay, never. Ashley Barnes, claret and blues, the shade of my gams. Ashley Barnes, sporting hand-me-down match day scarves. Ashley Barnes, days wage in my palm, mate, way to the bar. Ashley Barnes, Ashley Barnes. Yeah, I'm an impact.
Tell us about the past couple of months then. So you released the track, when was it?
It was the day of the transfer deadline, so
Right.
I've got other projects that I'm working on at the minute, and then I've put this together. I thought, I'll put this out as a single, transfer deadline day.
Yeah.
I thought, if this gets 100 plays or something over a month, I'll be pretty happy.
Yeah.
I didn't really expect much of it, and then released it, and then a lot of the Burnley fans on Twitter started getting behind it and pushing it, and just kind of escalated from there. Really, just kind of went to places I didn't think it would go to. So, then getting referenced on Match of the Day. And
What do you make of Sean Dyche commenting on it as well?
yeah, I loved that. I loved how typically Sean Dyche, the whole response was, it's new on me, but my kids seem to enjoy it. I just absolutely love that. So it was just a bit of a surreal moment, really. So I was just enjoying it for what it was. So.
I do like loads of different genres of music, you certainly know that. I'm not anti-grime by any means, I like the old school rap and stuff like that, but grime is a pretty newish one on me as we're listening to it all the time. I will tell you, and I told Barnes this morning, I did introduce it to my children yesterday. Well, I say they are children, but 16 and a half and 14 and a half, and they were enjoying it actually. They quite enjoyed it. They enjoyed the rhythm of it. They enjoyed the lyrics of it. So yeah, who knows? Massive hit for Barnsley, not just 2 goals, a massive hit in the charts. Who knows? And a local lad, I'm told, a local grime artist, which is good as well, of course, for them.
So is Ashley Barnes your favourite player then?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just love whenever we play any team in the Premier League. It seems at the minute, it just seems to really antagonise people. I think he just, he does it in his own way. It's unconventional in this day of football, and that definitely makes him my favourite player at the minute.
What's your favourite Ashley Barnes goal or moment for?
Moment would probably be when he got booked for giving, who was it from Cardiff? Was it Joe Bennett? I think it was. He gave him a little smooch and got booked for it. It's just a surreal moment to witness, really. So,
what would you do if Ashley Barnes was here today?
I think that yeah, it'd just be a bit surreal, really. The whole thing's been a bit surreal. Are you looking back? How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Mate? You all right?
Okay, yeah.
Oh, you're glancing behind me. I thought, what's going on? Good to meet you. Good to meet you.
Meet Bacchus.
Yeah, cheers.
One for Barnes, driving forward Barnes. Oh, the goal! Oh, what a finish from Ashley Barnes! He's on fire! He scored in the first 3 Premier League games of the season.
Ashley, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure, thank you.
When did you first hear the track?
I think Daz actually sent it to me. He said, "Did you hear this?" And I didn't have a clue. Then Harty got it on in the changing room.
Yeah.
And he's been playing it non-stop now. So I think Harty knows all the words to it. So Harty's the man for this.
The grime music.
For
Joe
the
Hart's
grime.
the grime.
Yeah, he's good at the rapping.
And you were saying before that Joe Hart wants his own version of it, so he wants a track by Bacchus about him.
Yeah, he wants Bacchus to just write him a few lyrics and that, and then Harty will join in singing it and that. He'll learn it off by heart and he'll do it.
We can definitely get that done.
Do that?
Definitely get that done.
And the car school want one as well. So at the moment it's me, Westy, Gibbo and Harty in the car school.
Yeah.
So if you can just batter one out about us four, that'd be brilliant.
Definitely get that into one.
You up for that?
Yeah, definitely.
An early knock is a tactical move. I'm grind but swing, I've been dabbling.
Barnes have a shot! Yes! Burnley lead at Old Trafford!
Bring on town. I'll let me in a Ashley Barnes out. Go bar for bar, don't let you.
How are you feeling now you've met him?
The whole thing is just surreal. It's surreal being here, surreal meeting you. Surreal that it was getting played on Football Focus. It's just a bit mad, really.
Yeah. What sort of music are you into, Ashley?
I'm into all sorts.
Yeah?
Yeah, probably power ballads is my thing.
So more...
Celine Dion and that, you know.
Really?
Yeah, just bash it out in the car as we were driving down south and that, back to see the family and that. Got it on loud, full blast. Kids are like, shut up, Dad.
And it's Ashley Barnes! Burnley back in front!
We've also got a gift for you. Barnesy's going to sign you.
Yeah, it's just a shirt of us, mate.
I'm grind but swing, I've been dabbling too, so I can't stand drillers, spanners or tools.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Yeah, good to meet you too.
Do you want the rest of the boys? We can try and get the rest of the boys to sign it if you want. It's entirely up to you.
That'd be perfect. You know, that'd be perfect. Yeah.
Oh, this is Bacchus.
Yeah, good to meet you. How long did it take you to write it and that?
Not like about a month, maybe 5 weeks, something like that.
Still repeating our changing rooms.
Yeah, he was saying Joe Hart, so fan Joe Hart.
Got a bit annoying to be honest.
Yeah. I know the feeling, mate.
Sorted.
Look at that.
Appreciate it.
No worries. Pleasure, mate.
Good to meet you.
No,
Thanks for coming down.
Always good, mate.
Cheers,
See you
yeah.
soon. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, a bit mad really. Chuffing me shirt. My mum is going to go mad for that, so look forward to showing her that. So yeah, good. Cheers for having us down.
Ashley Barnes.
Stephen Defoe sadly parted company with the Clarets recently, heading back to Belgium. The midfield playmaker was restricted to just 58 appearances in his 3 years, but remains a firm fan's favourite.
I hope they'll remember you as a player. When he was on the pitch, he gave his all, and that he tried to give some joy to the fans.
Defoe, lovely turn, comes away with the ball. What a strike that is! Welcome to Turf Moor!
I really enjoyed that moment. It was also special moments of my career, and
Defoe does hit it.
well, I scored 3 goals and they're 3 nice goals, I think. So,
Stephen Defoe, take a bow.
like I said, my time on the pitch, I enjoyed every minute of it, and I hope the fans also enjoyed it.
Here's Defoe, can he line up a ball here? Swings towards the back post, and a 1! Oh, it's 3!
Burnley fans, you always have a special place in my heart, and from day one, I felt so special, as with the song, the special song, as the support you always gave me as being one of the fans' favorites. I enjoyed every second playing for Burnley, and I will always be a fan of Burnley Football Club. I think this is a club and players that are one team, like really one team. I've been in clubs where there were 3, 4, 5 different groups, but this was one team who not one is above the other. So everybody worked hard, and this has been the best, mentally the best dressing room I've ever been, without a doubt. I'll miss you too, guys. Thank you.
VAR has certainly been the hot topic of debates during the first month of the season, with the Clarets experiencing the full use of the technology. During the testing phase, we spoke to former referee Neil Swarbrick about VAR's introduction to the Premier League.
Burnley scored, it'll go to VAR. Waiting for the decision on the screen. Neves on the volley, helped on, can Pope collect it? Player's gone down, oh, he's given a penalty. It'll be checked on VAR. He's given it, I think.
Tell us your role, Neil, former Premier League referee, of course, local to the Northwest. What are you doing now with VAR and the referees and the Premier League?
Yeah, since I retired last May, what I've been doing is, with me initially and Mike Jones, we've been training the referees, getting them used to operating with the VAR and just basically overseeing operations that they've done, so and basically advising. So just looking at all the referees refereeing with VAR, seeing where we can help, where we can make improvements.
Lowton looking long. Decent ball if Barnes can get on the end of it, but Stevens doing first and slips. Well, the offside flag goes on. Whoa, the Burnley scoring, it'll go to VAR, and Wood has put it away. Now then, it's got to go to VAR. To be fair, I think he looks offside, doesn't he, Barnes? He does look offside in the build-up.
We're not here to re-referee games with VARs. What we are there is to pick up the clear and obvious errors. But it's important that the referees on the field of play communicate what they've seen and the reason why they'll give that decision, which then gives a bit of meat on the bones for the VARs to decide whether they need to intervene or not.
Ceballos looking to feed his man. There's an offside flag here. Won't count. Bring it back. They'll check it. They will check it. He's just offside. Won't count. As VAR in work, it's a strange old world, isn't it?
Probably the biggest change in refereeing or officiating that we've ever had. So it's going to be a learning curve. It's going to be important to get communication out there explaining what we can check, what we can't check, the reasons why we check it, and it's all about setting this clear and obvious bar. Subjectivity will always be there. There'll always be many talking points for managers, players, pundits, media, supporters, and that'll never get taken away. VAR will not be able to solve 100% of everything because of the subjective nature of the game. We're just looking for them clear errors. Someone's a yard offside or even a couple of inches offside. I mean, because we have the grid lines, we can give that, but someone scored with their hand, you know, it's not been picked up. A penalty's been awarded and it's clear simulation. Just clear instances like that we won't be able to pick up, but solve everything, definitely not.
Into the centre circle, Defour. Looking forward here, Defour. Ball over the top. Looks offside, was he? And Vidra's found it knocked over. That's a penalty. Looks a clear penalty. Cavari's knocked Vidra over. We'll have to just wait and see what the referee does here. He's given it. But we'll wait for the VAR assessment. I think Cavari doesn't believe he's touched Vidra. His chance here to open the scoring. We do. He's ready now. Oh, no. What's happening here? He's saying offside. Offside. Oh, I didn't think it was.
Like I've already said, we've done a lot of training, a lot of work. The referees have put a lot of time into it, and they're certainly ready for the start of the season. And it's exciting. I'd like to think people will understand the subjective nature, and everything's not always going to be 100% like we said. But I think it's definitely a step in the right direction, and let's see how we go August. But looking forward to it, definitely.
How do you think VAR has fared in the first month of the season? Tweet us at Burnley Official using the hashtag #TurfMore. And following the first whirlwind month of the season, the international break's upon us, and with Nick Pope back in the England squad, Phil Bird takes a look back at the club's top 5 capped players.
After a busy first few weeks of the season, we're into our first international break, and it's given us a chance to have a look back at Burnley's most capped internationals, starting with Alex Elder, who made 34 appearances for Northern Ireland whilst he was with Burnley. He joined us from Glentoran in 1959, made his debut at Deepdale against Tom Finney and Preston, and impressed so much, even in a defeat, he kept his place for the rest of the season. Made his international debut as a teenager at Wrexham against Wales in April 1960. Elder and fellow countryman Willie Irvine played in a League Cup replay here at Turf Moor in 1965 on a Tuesday night, went to extra time. They took the sleeper from Manchester to London and played the following day for Northern Ireland against England, different times. Went on to play 40 times for Northern Ireland, Alex Elder, left Turf Moor for Stoke City in 1967. Brian Flynn also made 34 international appearances whilst he was with Burnley. From Port Talbot, he could have been a scrum half for Wales. He went to a rugby playing school in South Wales, but joined Burnley as a 15-year-old after impressing in international schoolboy football. He made his debut against Luxembourg as a sub in a 5-0 win. I remember his first start though for Wales. It was against Scotland, and he scored an incredible goal where he did 1-2s with John Mahoney and John Toshak before firing home. It was one of the best ever Welsh goals. Brian Flynn had 3 spells with the Clarets, went on to make 66 international appearances and also managed his country briefly. He's responsible for bringing in players like Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey and of course our own Sam Vokes. Billy Hamilton joined Burnley from Queen's Park Rangers in 1979. Burnley was struggling in that season. We were relegated to the 3rd division for the first time, but Hamilton impressed. He scored 7 times in a difficult season. Hamilton's best season was the 1981-82 campaign when Burnley won the 3rd division title. He played in every game and he had a great summer as well because Northern Ireland got to the World Cup finals for the first time in 24 years. Billy Bingham's side did well. They got through the initial group stages and Hamilton scored twice in a 2-2 draw against Austria in Madrid. Like Elder and Flynn, he made 34 international appearances whilst he was with Burnley before moving on to Oxford United. Unfortunately, injury curtailed his career. Second in our list is Sam Vokes. He made 40 international appearances during his 6 years at Turf Moor, a mainstay in the Welsh side that reached the 2016 Euro finals, and he scored in the quarter-final, memorable headed goal in the quarter-final win over Belgium when they won 3-1. It's a key goal towards the end of the game that sealed their passage to the semi-finals. He played a big part in our promotion campaigns under Sean Dyche. He forged a great partnership with Danny Ings and then with Andre Gray. He got the goal here in 2016 against Queen's Park Rangers that clinched promotion, and the week later he got a goal in the 3-0 win against Charlton Athletic. Everybody will remember the scenes there as we became champions. Of course, Sam left us earlier this year for Stoke City in a big money move, and he's still adding to his tally of caps. Top of our list, of course, is Jimmy McIlroy, regarded as Burnley's best ever player. He joined us from Glentoran in 1950 and played a massive part in our title-winning campaign of 1959-60. He played for Northern Ireland in the 1958 World Cup finals. It was the first time the Irish ever qualified for the finals, and they were there alongside England and Wales, and they did well. They got through to the knockout stages, beating Czechoslovakia in a playoff that went to extra time before losing 4-0 to France. The time when they played less internationals, he won 55 caps for Northern Ireland, 51 of which came in his time at Turf Moor. With so many internationals in our current squad, perhaps those records are meant to be broken. See you soon.
And a very special player topping the list there, sadly missed by all. No more so than daughter Anne, who I had the pleasure of meeting up with recently to recall some fond McIlroy memories.
Club loyalty to me isn't being loyal to the bricks and the mortar and the grass around here. It's being loyal to the people who run this club.
The ball goes to 22-year-old Jimmy McIlroy, Burnley's Irish international. He takes a tumble as he shoots, but it's a goal.
Well, Anne, thank you for joining us today. It's just over a year now since Jimmy passed away, and time moves on. It's easy to forget that the town lost a great man, but you lost a dad. How are you coping? How are you?
We do. It has been difficult. There's all the milestones in the first year, but it's amazing. People still come up and talk about him and how sorry they were to hear, which usually get the first few weeks after somebody's died, but they still come up and say how sorry they were to hear, which is nice.
That's amazing.
Yes, and I think it's been brilliant that the club have given us tickets for this year again, so we can still come in his memory, really, which is really nice. We do appreciate that.
Well, we're here sat in his stand, of course. His name will always be revered with Burnley. And back in those early days, back in Ireland, of course, I mean, the reverberations are still felt back there as well. We still get emails from Ireland.
Yeah.
About
And we
Jimmy.
got some lovely testimonies when he did die from the Irish Football Association, personal letters and notes, and we even had one from FIFA, from the president of FIFA. So it does bring it to life how well thought of he was and how good at his job he was, because that never came across to us. So when you hear all these things, and we got things from across the world when he died, and you do think, yeah, that's my dad. And we didn't realise, he did have those skills and talent.
So many huge things in his life happened in this stadium. I want to start at the end if I can, the funeral, and take you back to that day, which must have been a really harrowing day. And you almost had to give Jimmy up in some respects to the footballing world. I mean, footballing glitterati were here on the day. That must have been a really strange day for you.
It was, but funnily enough, really enjoyed it, if that's the right thing to say. I mean, we had great debates over the funeral because he was a humble man, and my mum was very humble and didn't like limelight. So at first, the grandchildren, it's got to be at my mum's church, which was a really small church, family church. And it was the funeral director that actually said, have you realised how big this is going to be? And we hadn't, we'd never park, we'd never get people in. So the more I thought about it, I did think, he would have wanted it here because he felt this club had given him so much, and it was the fans as well. He always had such a love for the fans. So we did sort of decide this would be where he'd want to be. It was church when we were little. He always used to go to church with us, but he wasn't really a religious man.
So this was his church, wasn't it?
So this was where he'd want it to be, and it was a beautiful day, if you remember.
Yeah.
Blue sky, sun shining, and we all faced the stand the way they did the room. We faced the stand. The pitch looked amazing, and it was a beautiful day. And
out there on the main road, I mean, we've seen a lot of funerals go past here. A lot of the former stars of yesteryear have gone past, but nothing like the crowds that Jimmy drew that day. It literally did bring the town to a standstill, I think.
And what was really nice, and I always wanted this chap to know, when we were driving down Belvedere Road, there were 6 cars in the funeral party, and in about the 4th car back, my cousin was there with the windows down because it was such a hot day, and some old chap from the roadside came up and passed her his scarf and said, will you make sure Jimmy gets this? So when we went up to the cemetery, she had this scarf, and she said, do I mind if the scarf goes in with the coffin? So that's what we did. So if that chap's listening anywhere, your scarf did go with my dad.
From your point of view, I'm interested in how it was for you growing up in the family of a demigod here. I mean, I know he's just dad to you, but how famous and how well loved he was.
We had no idea, and that sounds ridiculous, but we were just a normal family. My mum, I think, was a real grounding. She was a churchgoer, a pillar of the society, and I think that she didn't want anybody to get big-headed, or we weren't different from anybody else. And when I went to school in my junior school and early high school, I had no idea. The only clue was I always could have my summer holiday a bit earlier than everybody else because the season finished, so we had to go early, and that's apart from that, I mean...
Does that mean you get double school holidays?
We've got back 2 months.
Yeah, bonus.
But on like Sundays, we always went for picnics on a Sunday afternoon. We had to get stuff for the nature table that I had to take back to school on a Monday morning. So he was my dad. We just did ordinary things. He couldn't say no to me. I could get anything I wanted out of my dad. So, yeah, we had a terrific relationship.
He will always be remembered, I think, and I'll remember him as this sort of softly spoken, genial Irishman. What was he like behind closed doors? Was he the same man?
Yeah, he never shouted. He never raised his voice. Like I say, I could never say no. I never remember him losing his temper, getting cross, getting annoyed with anything. No, it was so placid.
What are your memories of him as a footballer? Did you come to all the games? Did you?
I'd have been really young when he played at Burnley, but then I remember being dragged to Stoke on Saturday afternoons.
No one wants to go to Stoke, do they?
And there weren't the motorways then, of course, so it took us forever when we got there. And then when he went to Oldham, I always remember, I think it was Oldham rather than Bolton, it was Oldham. The manager's office was actually behind the dugout, but in a closed office. And he sat there with a couple of others, and I would be in there playing, asking him questions while the match was going on, and he was like sorting my craning out for me, or, you know, he was the manager of the team, and yet I was playing with my dolls and my craning around him while he was watching the match. So, no, and then Bolton was very short-lived, of course. So, as his footballing days, it was just my dad.
Then he became a journalist. And of course, he joined the Burnley Express and did writing for them in later life.
Yeah, he had a talent for writing. And I don't even know if you remember at the funeral, they did read 2 of the poems out that he'd written. Because, as I say, my mum was a churchgoer, and we always had to join in the Methodist festival of the town. And my dad did as well with his art. He entered art competitions, and his writing was very good. Well, because I do remember as a child, he used to do articles and send them to Australia. I do remember him sitting down sometimes. So he was talented with his writing and his art.
I wasn't fortunate to see Jimmy as a player. My dad always told me great stories before he died about Jimmy. The bits I'll always remember out there were fantastic occasions when he got the MBE and when he got the freedom of the borough and he can now drive his sheep up Burnley Road. All those marvellous occasions later in life on Turf Moor that brought home, I think, to a new generation of fans just what he meant to that generation.
Yeah, and that's why so many years after. And he was always embarrassed about it.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah,
don't have to go on the pitch, don't have to.
Yeah, he was shy, he was embarrassed. And he always maintained he was one of a team. He was the lucky one. It was the team. And, you know, when he used to talk to people, he used to hear him talk about all the internationals within that team playing, at the same time as him. And yeah, a few years ago we went over to Ireland for his sister's 80th, and the Irish FA invited us to go around, and they've done a specialist cap. So they presented him with that, and he put it on and he said something like Jimmy Tarbuck or Jimmy Clitheroe. That was it, That was his sense of humour. It was a cap. What it meant to him, I don't know.
Just finally, you mentioned internationals there, and I just caught you when we arrived at the reception there, looking at the international honours board that we've got there that's got every player for this club and the number of internationals, and we're now talking 60 years on from Jimmy, and he's still the most capped player at this club.
I know, by quite a way, really. And it's interesting to think, will there be another one that, 50 caps?
There'll never be another Jimmy McIlroy.
I think you're biased, Darren.
Thanks for joining us, Sam.
Okay, thank you.
Following a financial crisis, Bury have found themselves expelled from the Football League. As a former shaker and claret, Terry Pashley gave us his thoughts on a dark time for the Lancashire club and worrying times for lower league football. Well, Terry, it's great to catch up with you. It's been a while. We wanted to touch on a few topics with you, and I suppose we have to start with the demise of Bury and what is becoming the parlous state of Northwest football at the minute in the lower leagues.
Yeah, it's a very sad state of affairs. It's a while since I was there. I joined them in '83 through to '90. I had a great time there. Jim Eiley was the manager that signed me. Then not long after that, Martin Dobson came in, followed by Sam Ellis. But at the time, there was never well supported. It looked at the time with the chairman Terry Robinson that it was a well-run club with John Heap, the secretary. Neville was there. I think his wife Jill came a little bit after that time, and she spent a lot of time there. I can remember Phil and Gary kicking a ball around on the long corridor with my eldest son when they were young. And like I said, some really good happy times. And we had some good players and a good team. We got a promotion there, but never well supported. You're right on the fringes of the two big Manchester clubs. Probably wasn't fashionable and probably never has been to support Bury when there's the two Manchester clubs there. And
geographically, that's probably always been its weak spot, hasn't it?
Yeah. That was always talked about when I was there. You're right on the doorstep of those two clubs, and it was hard for them. We probably had 2,500 every home game. You could hear everything that was said.
What do you put it down to? What's happening in the heartlands of football?
I'm not a business person, I don't know, but it may be that when you come out of the Premier League and the parachute payments stop, you may be still paying high wages, which you can't really afford and sustain. And it's not just clubs in this area. We've seen it, with Leeds going down where they went to. The Sheffield clubs and Sheffield United have come back very quickly from League One to the Premier League. I can only put it down to the outgoings being more than what's coming in, really.
There seems to be a little bit of hope for Bury, and I guess like many, you're clinging to that now, that they can somehow get themselves back into the league this time next year.
Hopefully, yeah. And hopefully, will it be League Two, or will it be like Wimbledon had to do? I don't know, but hopefully that they get back, and that's the important thing.
While we've got you, it would be remiss of us not to talk about Jay being back. You're very much his mentor here.
Great news.
The more things change, the more things stay the same. You're still here, Jay's back.
Yeah.
New building, of course, but
I think that was the first thing we talked about, the new facilities that we've got, because he'd never seen them before. His hair is a talking point.
Yeah, it's certainly a talking point.
He's certainly let that grow, hasn't he?
It wouldn't happen in your day, that would he? Wouldn't have had that in the under-18s, would it?
And then boots. But great to see him back. And the great thing that I really like is he's not changed. He just seems exactly the same boy that I first knew at 15, 16, before we had those 2 years together in the youth team, yeah.
He's not had a bad career, has he?
He's had a very good career. He's had an England cap, and then he had his bad injuries, which stifled it a little bit, but hopefully now he's back on track and he can come and knock some goals in for us.
You'll be proud of many of your proteges that have gone on to great things. Is he maybe your biggest sort of success story?
Yeah. I mean, there's some, like, say, Carl Lafferty's had a good career, Chris McCann, over 300 games we've had, even going down a little bit longer, Richard Chaplow, and then there's quite a few other lads who are still playing lower league football. But Jay's the one you always look for, and proud day when he got his England cap. Really, really pleased for him, for the hard work.
He still mentions you to this day every time he can, Terry Pashley. He never forgets, does he?
No, I think he's down to earth, he's the salt of the earth, and he's a great lad. He's a Burnley lad, and I'm sure his mum and dad wouldn't allow him to anyway, knowing his dad.
And as for Terry Pashley, you're not pounding the pitches of the 18s anymore, but you're still heavily involved in the club. Just fill us in on your current role.
My current role is I'm a full-time scout now. My remit is looking for players between the ages of 17, 21, predominantly defenders, but really, obviously, anything that catches your eye. We've got a new technical director who's coming overseeing now with Mike Rigg, and that's the role Mike's asked me specifically to do, which I really, really enjoy. So it was always in my back of my mind a natural progression from when I played I wanted to become a coach. When I finished coaching, I always wanted to go into scouting. And it's 4 years now this October.
You're still enjoying it, are you?
Oh, I love it. I really love it, yeah. People say, do you miss playing when you become a coach, and do you miss coaching when you become a scout? And Oh, certainly. I mean, there's certain aspects that you'll always want to do, but you can't go on forever doing everything. So I'm not one of them that I look back. I just look forward to the new challenge, and like I say, I really, really enjoy it. It's good.
It's been wonderful catching up with you, Terry. Long may you continue to be part of the club.
Thank you, Des. Thanks very much. Appreciate that.
And that's it for September's edition of Turf Moor. Thanks for watching. Burnley are off to the south coast this weekend to face Brighton, which provided one of the highlights on the road last season. Let's hope for a similar outcome. See you soon.
Here come the teams, Brighton and Hove Albion against the Clarets. After this afternoon's game, it's 18th against 14th. Burnley back in the relegation zone, despite that 6-game unbeaten run in the Premier League. What a save from Eaton. McNeil, can he get across it? He can't. Oh, it's deflected onto the woodwork. Oh, woodwork again. Oh, my word. Bacardi's picked out March on his left foot. March. Oh, what a save, Tom Eaton. That's his best yet. Bentley to get it forward, finds Barnes, turns nicely, he's looking for Wood. Wood's on the chase here. Chance for Burnley. Wood against the keeper, can he finish? Yes, he can! Burnley lead! It's Chris Wood against his former club. Bacardi with a cross in, headed on, chance at the far post, and it's kept out somehow. Swings it in right foot, a good ball in there, header one! The red boots of Hendrick that save Burnley. Oh, it just ricochets towards him. Chance here for McNeil. They're standing off him a little. Chance for Wood. It's 2-0. Chris Wood's got his second. He can't stop scoring against Brighton. Barnes trying to break through the middle. If Wood can find it, he's offside. He's not. It's okay. Big chance for Barnes here to seal it perhaps. Keeper's coming at him. Goes round the keeper. It's a penalty. Come on, Ashley Barnes. Barnes against Ryan. And he scores. It's 3-0. Ashley Barnes with the finish. The Clarets in control, surely now. Swung in by knock-on, it's very deep. Header one, they got one back. Stuffy, isn't it? Wins the header from the free kick. What a result that is! Burnley with the bottom three after the results this afternoon. They put in a top performance here to win 3-1 at Brighton.